Hello, I am back for part 2 of Extraordinary Book Effects. I will be doing a soft-spoken version, and I'd like to hear if a whisper or soft-spoken is preferred. I believe this is where I left off. World population. By the year 2050, the world's elderly will outnumber the young for the first time. In the next 60 seconds, 101 people will die and 261 babies will be born. The world's youngest ever parents were 8 and 9 years old, respectively, and lived in China in 1910. I find that to be quite sad. 1 in 5 people alive today is Chinese. Country with the longest life expectancy, Japan, 78.6 years for men and 85.6 years for women. There is no leading cause of death for people who live past the age of 100. It is estimated that in AD 1000, the world population was about 300 million. Your odds of living to age 116, 1 in 2 billion. Since 1850, world population has increased by 500%. Of all the people who have ever lived, only 5 to 10% are alive today. By the time you reach age 60, your eyes will have been exposed to more light than would be released by detonating a nuclear bomb. Sorry, I couldn't figure out the word for a second. In 2006, the world's population will reach 8.5 billion. About 30% will be under age 15. Today, more people live in the United States, 298 million, than lived in the entire world in AD 1000. Baby boomers now say that old age begins at 79. Caffeine. Caffeine has been scientifically proven to temporarily increase alertness, comprehension, memory, reflexes, and even the rate of learning. It also helps increase clarity of thought. Too much caffeine can cause hand tremors, loss of coordination or appetite, insomnia, and in extreme cases, trembling, nausea, heart palpitations, and diarrhea. Widely varying, the amount of caffeine you ingest can put a strain on your liver, pancreas, heart, and nervous system. And if you're prone to ulcers, caffeine can make your situation worse. The average American drinks 210 milligrams of caffeine a day. That's equal to 2 or 3 cups of coffee, depending on how strong it is. How you make your coffee has a lot to do with how much caffeine you get. Instant coffee contains 65 milligrams of caffeine per serving. Coffee brewed in a percolator has 80 milligrams, and coffee made using the drip method has 155 milligrams. Top 4 sources of caffeine in the American diet: coffee, soft drinks, tea, and chocolate, in that order. The average American gets 75% of their caffeine from coffee. Other sources include the over-the-counter painkillers, appetite suppressants, cold remedies, and some prescription drugs. Pound for pound, kids often get as much caffeine from chocolate and soft drinks as their parents get from coffee, tea, and other sources. Games and gambling. How do you know when you're playing with an Italian deck of cards? No queens. The ancient Greeks played cards. In those days, aces were known as dogs. I don't know how to read the number. 635 13, 559, 599 million possible hands in a game of bridge. How many bedrooms are there on the board game Clue? None. Longest recorded Monopoly game, 1,680 hours, the equivalent of 70 days of interrupted play. What do you call the spots on dice and dominoes? The pips. 76% of Americans say they have never participated in illegal gambling. The game, Simon Says, was originally called Do This, Do That. If you add up all the numbers of the roulette wheel, 1 to 36, the sum is 666. In a standard deck of cards, the King of Hearts is the only king without a mustache. Most frequently landed on squares in Monopoly, Illinois Ave, Go, B&O Railroad. There is one slot machine in Las Vegas for every 8 inhabitants. 1 in 4 compulsive gamblers is a woman. First prize in the 180 French National Lottery, a one-way ticket to the San Francisco Gold Rush. That was then. Besides human sacrifices, Aztecs offered the gods tamales. In the 1500s, England's Queen Elizabeth I outlawed wife beating after 10 p.m. In the Middle Ages, having ants in the house was a sign of good luck. Only pharaohs are allowed to eat mushrooms in ancient Egypt. The Chinese used to scatter firecrackers around the house as fire alarms. First kitchen utensils, the ladle and the apple corer, in that order. The low man on a totem pole is the most important man in the tribe. In medieval England, jurors weren't fed until they reached a decision. In England, in 1558, beards were taxed according to their length. When a cat died in ancient Egypt, its owner shaved off their eyebrows as a sign of mourning. 5 most read U.S. newspapers: Wall Street Journal, U.S. Today, Los Angeles Times, New York Times, and Washington Post. American Potpourri. U.S. organization with the most members, American Automobile Association, with 48 million. 1 out of 5 pieces of the world's garbage was generated in the United States. Americans stand about 14 inches apart when they converse. Russians stand about 10 inches apart. The United States is first in the world in gun ownership per capita. Finland is second. Today, 25% of American men are 6 feet or taller, compared to only 4% in 1900. Most popular reason for not voting in elections, according to the U.S. Census, is too busy. The average American buys 17 yards of dental floss each year. Floods cause more death and destruction in the United States than any other natural disaster. Number of real haunted houses in the United States, according to the Ghost Research Society, 789. 2% of Americans always tip a waiter. 70% say it depends on service. Only 30% of U.S. adults actually have dandruff, but nearly 50% say they're self-conscious about it. The average American spends 2 years of his or her life waiting for meals to be served. According to the real estate industry, the average American looks at 8 houses before buying one. A fishy tale. Goldfish were originally green. The Chinese bred them to be many different colors, gold stuck. Sea urchins reproduce by splitting themselves into two. Goldfish have a memory span of 3 seconds. The skin of a tiger shark is 10 times as strong as ox hide. Oysters can change gender according to the temperature of the water they live in. A group of jellyfish is known as a smack. Jellyfish are 99% water. The man-of-war jellyfish can have tentacles up to 60 feet long. The anableps fish has 4 eyes, 2 to see underwater, 2 to see above the surface. Starfish have anywhere from 3 to 50 arms and 1 eye at the end of each arm. Fish with forked tails swim faster than fish with straight tails. Dolphins that live in the Amazon River are pink. If you have a backbone, there is about 50% chance you're a fish. Clams can live as long as 150 years. If an octopus is hungry enough, it will eat its own arms. State with the most pollution, Texas. Bagel Bits. Classic combo. Oops. Classic combo. Cream cheese was invented in 1872. Philadelphia cream cheese hit the market in 1880, but it wasn't until Joseph and Isaac Breakstone began selling their Breakstone cream cheese brand in 1920 that New York bagel eaters discovered it, and cream cheese became the bagel spread. Bagel ammo. In 2000, several rioters at 4th of July celebration in Morristown, New Jersey, were arrested for throwing dangerous projectiles into the crowd and at police. The projectiles: batteries, golf balls, and stale bagels. Big Bagel. According to Guinness World Records, the world's biggest bagel was made by Bruegger's in Syracuse, New York. Weight 868 pounds. Diameter 6 feet. Thickness 20 inches. Flavor blueberry. Bagel Bet. During the 2002 American League Championship Series between the New York Yankees and Anaheim Angels, Anaheim Mayor Tom Daley bet New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg a crate of oranges and chilies that the Angels would win. Bloomberg's bet a crate of Nathan's hot dogs and 48 H&H bagels. Daley won. I said Daley, but I think it's pronounced Dally. Sorry. Litigated bagel. In 2002, John and Cecilia O'Hare sued a McDonald's restaurant in Panama City Beach, Florida, claiming that an improperly cooked bagel damaged Mr. O'Hare's teeth and somehow ruined their marriage as well. They sued for $15,000 in damages. Creepy crawlers. Frogs use their eyeballs to push food down their throat. An adult crocodile can go 2 years without eating. Wood frogs freeze solid in winter and thaw back to life in spring. In its lifetime, an alligator will go through as many as 3,000 teeth. The bite of a king cobra can kill a full-grown elephant in less than 3 hours. The jaws of a decapitated snapping turtle can keep snapping for about a day. The Carthaginians fought off Roman ships in 300 BC by cultivating live snakes at them. Toads don't have teeth, frogs do. All toads are frogs, but not all frogs are toads. Some snakes can go an entire year without eating. Australia is the only continent where poisonous snakes outnumber non-poisonous kinds. The smallest known frog is the size of a dime. South Florida is the only place in the world where crocodiles and alligators coexist in the wild. An alligator has a brain the size of your thumb. The bullfrog is the only animal that never sleeps. Crocodiles can't move their tongues. If a frog keeps its mouth open too long, it will suffocate. If a chameleon loses a fight, it turns gray. If it wins, it turns green. Making music. In 2004, Congress passed a $388 billion spending bill that included $25,000 for the study of Maracay music. Deborah Harry of Blondie worked briefly as Playboy Bunny, and in case you didn't suspect, she's really a brunette. Even the post-Taliban era is still against the law in Afghanistan for women to sing on TV. The last reel-to-reel tape manufacturer in America closed its doors in January 2005. According to Billboard magazine, the number one single of the 1960s was Hey Jude by the Beatles. Best-selling posthumous hit of all time, just like Starting Over by John Lennon. Music videos were originally known as telerecords. Mick Jagger had the emerald filling on his front tooth replaced with a diamond because people kept telling him he had spinach in his teeth. Jimi Hendrix made 26 jumps with the 101st Airborne paratroopers in 1961. Who finally killed him? Find some possibilities on page 376. Guess we'll see when we get there. Word roots. Dr. Seuss coined the word nerd in his 1950 book, If I Ran the Zoo. How did grocers get their name? They sold goods by the gross. In the 17,000s, trappers could get $1 for a buckskin, hence the term buck. People who used to say, will I, nil I, when they couldn't make up their minds, thus the expression, willy-nilly. How did hammocks get their name? They were first made from the fibers of the hammock tree. Theater spotlights used to burn lime for light, thus the term limelight. The lollipop was named after Lollipop, one of the most famous racehorses of the early 1900s. The slang term for an emergency room patient who isn't sick enough to justify being there, Gomer, get out of my emergency room. Princeton, Professor John W. Tukey coined the term software in 1958. When you do something on the QT, you're using an abbreviation of the word quiet. Police are sometimes called the Fuzz because London police once wore fuzzy helmets. Why did Thomas Henry Huxley invent the word agnostic in 1869? He got tired of being called an atheist. Pet me. Sir Isaac Newton invented the swinging door for the convenience of his cats. Most dogs run an average of 19 miles per hour. Ancient Egyptians could be put to death for mistreating a cat. Does your dog seem wary of going out in the rain? It's not because it's afraid to get wet. Rain amplifies sound and hurts dogs' ears. Toy breed dogs live an average of 7 years longer than large breeds. In ancient Rome, it wasn't officially dark until you could no longer tell the difference between a dog and a wolf howling in the distance. They're Canadian. On August 30th, 1995, Sean Shannon of Canada recited Hamlet's "To Be or Not to Be" soliloquy in 23.8 seconds, an average of 655 words a minute. On August 17th, 1991, 512 dancers of the Royal Scottish Dance Society, Toronto branch, set the record for the largest genuine Scottish country dance, a reel. In 1988, Palm Diaries of Edmonton created the world's largest ice cream sundae, 24,900 kilograms. In 1993, the Kitchener-Waterloo Hospital Auxiliary filled a bowl with 2,390 kilograms of strawberries. 400 mothers in Vancouver broke the record for mass breastfeeding in 2002. In February 2000, 1,588 couples at the Sarnia Sports Centre broke the record for most kissing in one place at one time. Dave Pearson holds the record for clearing all 15 balls from a standard pool table in 26.5 seconds at Pepper's Bar in Windsor, Ontario in 1997. In 1998, 1,000 University of Guelph students formed the longest human conveyor belt, laying down in a row and rolling a surfboard over their bodies. In 1999, they set the record for simultaneous soap bubble blowing. Phrases coined by Shakespeare: green-eyed monster, into thin air, kill with kindness, milk of human kindness, neither rhyme nor reason, one fell swoop, primrose path, star-crossed lovers, sweets for the sweet, tower of strength. Merry Christmas. Who still believes in Santa? Studies say more 4-year-olds do than any other age group. Only 10% of U.S. households put cookies out for Santa on Christmas Eve. U.S. kids leave an estimated 812 million cookies out for Santa on Christmas Eve. Odds that a battery was bought during the Christmas season, 40%. More than 25 million kids visit Santa in malls nationwide each year. Worldwide, Christmas has been celebrated on 135 different days of the year. Americans send out about 2 billion Christmas cards every year. 98% of Christmas trees are grown on tree farms. Every year, 1.76 billion candy canes are made. The tradition of sending Christmas cards originated in England in 1843. CB radio users don't like to get Christmas cards. That's a code name for speeding tickets. About 83% of U.S. families put up a Christmas tree. 58% of the trees are artificial. Fake Christmas trees have outsold real ones every year since 1991. The average shopping center, Santa weighs 218 pounds and has a 43-inch waist. The holiday song played most often in malls in 2004 was Jingle Bells. Top 5 holiday pies in the United States: pumpkin, apple, cherry, lemon meringue, and pecan. Assuming Rudolph's in front, there are 40,320 ways to arrange the 8 other reindeer. Superglue. Superglue is so strong that a single square-inch bond can lift a ton of weight. Superglue doesn't stick to the bottle because it needs moisture to set, and there's no moisture in the bottle. Cyanocrylate products are 325 million a year industry. Approximately 90% of U.S. homes have at least one tube. During the Vietnam War, tubes of superglue were put in U.S. soldiers' first aid kit to help seal wounds. Special kinds of superglue are now used in hospitals worldwide, reducing the need of sutures, stitches, and staples. It doesn't work on deep wounds or on wounds where the skin does a lot of stretching, such as over joints. Superglue is now used in forensic detection. When investigators open a foil packet of ethyl gel cyanocrylate, the fumes settle on skin oils left behind in human fingerprints, turning the invisible smears into visible marks. Tips for using superglue. A little dab will do ya. Superglue bonds best when it's used at the rate of 1 drop per square inch. More than that requires a much longer bonding period, which may result in a weaker bond. If you're gluing 2 flat surfaces together, rough them up with sandpaper first. That'll give the glue more surface area to bond to, but make sure you blow off any dusty residue first. Glued your fingers together, use nail polish remover. Don't have any? Try warm soapy water and a little patience. Your sweat and natural skin oils will loosen the bond. Music and musicians. Marcel Marquez's greatest hits album consisted of 40 minutes of silence followed by applause. More than 2.2 million Americans play the accordion. There are more bagpipe bands in the United States than there are in Scotland. When he needed inspiration, Ludwig van Beethoven poured water on himself. Mozart wrote a piano piece that required the player to use both hands and his nose. J.S. Bach played the cathedral organ, so did 100 of his descendants. 61% of Americans like to hear music when put on hold. 22% prefer silence. The 5 golden rings in the 12 days of Christmas weren't originally rings, they were ring-necked peasants. Wow. The original jukeboxes came with earphones. Only one person could listen at a time. Artists who have recorded the most songs, the Mills Brothers, about 2,250. The musical Cats ran on Broadway for 18 years. Traditionally, it isn't a big band unless it has 10 different instrumentalists. There are 158 verses in the Greek national anthem. Singer Wayne Newton is a descendant of Pocahontas. No one knows exactly where Mozart is buried in Vienna. It's mind-boggling. 111 times 111 equals 12, 345, 678, 987, 654, 321. I don't know. I'm not good with numbers like that. I'll be honest. If you tried to count off 1 billion seconds, it would take you 31.7 years. 1 speck of dust contains a quadrillion atoms. Take a century and divide it into 50 million. You get about a minute. Experts say time is getting shorter. 280 million years ago, a year lasted 390 days. The average drinking glass holds 50 teaspoons of water. There are 31 and 557 600 seconds in a year. It takes 7 shuffles to thoroughly mix a 52-card deck. The official definition of a jiffy is a 1 out of 100 of a second. The Gregorian calendar is accurate to within a half a day per 1,000 years. Number of toothpicks you can make from 1 cord of wood, 75 million. The word million was invented sometime around the year AD 1300. The Chinese were the first to use a decimal system in the 6th century BC. There are 3 times 10 to the 33rd power, 3,000 quintillion individual living things on Earth. Of these, 75% are bacteria. The odds of someone winning a lottery twice in 4 months is about 1 in 17 trillion, but Evelyn Marie Adams won the New Jersey lottery in both 1985 and 1986. That will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the soft-spoken. Again, please let me know if you prefer the whispered or soft-spoken. I think I prefer to whisper. I feel like speaking soft-spoken strains my voice, makes my voice crack a lot. Have a good night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time this is for you. Please take care of yourself. You are loved. Goodbye.